Carlos Alcaraz is living his tennis prime, smashing records and opponents alike, but even for a wunderkind like him, things behind the scenes aren't always smooth sailing. Enter Juan Carlos Ferrero, the mastermind coach who's been steering the Alcaraz ship. But let's be real, guiding a player who's taking the tennis world by storm is like trying to tame a raging bull while juggling chainsaws. It's exhausting, and Ferrero, being the smart cookie he is, realized he needed backup. So, what did he do? He pulled out his metaphorical phone-a-friend card and dialed Samuel López, the coaching equivalent of calling in the cavalry. Now, when Samuel picked up that call, it probably went something like this. Ferrero: "Hey, Sam, it's crunch time. You in?" Samuel: "Hell yes, where do I sign?" And just like that, Samuel López, at the ripe age of 54, found himself thrust into the Alcaraz whirlwind. But let's rewind a bit. Joining Team Alcaraz wasn't just another gig for Samuel. This was the gig. The one you don't turn down unless you've completely lost your mind. But it wasn't without complications, because Samuel had been coaching Pablo Carreño for years, and you don't just ghost someone you've been through thick and thin with. Breaking the news to Carreño was like ripping off a band-aid from a hairy leg, necessary but painful as hell. Samuel confessed that the lead-up to that conversation was brutal. The week before he told Pablo? Awkward as fuck. The weeks after? A mix of weirdness and guilt. "I felt so damn strange," Samuel admitted. "It's been years of memories, emotions, and some damn good times together." And let's not forget the victories. Samuel had helped Carreño climb to the top 10. That's no small feat. But Ferrero's call wasn't just a casual suggestion. It was the kind of opportunity that makes you rethink your entire career. For 2 years, Juan Carlos had hinted at the possibility of Samuel joining the team, and even Carreño knew it was on the horizon. "The idea was parked as long as I was with Pablo," Samuel shared, "but I always knew the day would come when Ferrero would call me up." And when that day came, Samuel had no choice but to pack his bags and jump headfirst into the Alcaraz project. Now, Samuel's first few weeks with Team Alcaraz were like being the new kid at school, exciting but overwhelming as hell. He had to adjust to the pace of working with a world beater like Carlos, who's not just any player but the player. "At first, I was a bit all over the place, trying to find my rhythm," Samuel admitted. "But now, I'm fully in the zone." As for Ferrero, the guy's no fool. He knows coaching Alcaraz isn't a one-man job anymore. The travel, the pressure, the insane expectations. It's enough to drive anyone to the brink. By bringing in Samuel, Ferrero has ensured that he's not just surviving but thriving alongside Alcaraz. It's about sharing the load, keeping things fresh, and staying sharp. And let's not forget Alcaraz himself, the young phenom who's redefining tennis greatness. With Ferrero and Samuel in his corner, the guy's got the dream team backing him. Samuel stepping in isn't just a strategic move, it's a masterstroke. It's the kind of decision that shows why Ferrero is one of the best in the business. He's not about hoarding the spotlight. He's about making damn sure that his protege has every tool he needs to dominate. So, while the Alcaraz juggernaut rolls on, Samuel López is settling into his new role, Ferrero is breathing a little easier, and Carreño, ever the professional, has taken it all in stride. And who can blame him? If the universe calls you to coach one of the greatest talents of this generation, you answer. No hesitation, no regrets, just a ton of passion and a hell of a lot of work ahead. Oh, but here's where the drama kicks in. Picture this, everything seemed smooth sailing, the plans were set, and the preseason with Pablo Carreño was already rolling. Then, bam, out of nowhere, on a random Monday morning, Juan Carlos Ferrero drops the ultimate plot twist. He tells Samuel López, "Mate, it's time. We need an extra hand on deck." Talk about flipping the script. Samuel, caught completely off guard, probably felt like he just got smacked with a frying pan. He didn't see it coming, not in a million years. For a moment, just a brief, sweaty palms, racing heart moment, Samuel doubted everything. Should he do it? Could he do it? But deep down, he knew this wasn't just a career decision. This was the big fucking deal. Saying no wasn't really an option, because if he didn't step up, someone else would, and he wasn't about to let that happen. So, while his brain did a little backflip of hesitation, the rest of him screamed, "Get your ass in the game!" But wait, how do you break news like this to Pablo Carreño? You don't send a text like, "Hey, so I'm ditching you for ALCARAZ'S. Best of luck." No, Samuel handled it with the kind of class most of us can only dream of. On a Tuesday, he gets the call. By Thursday, he's already on a train to Barcelona, ready for the awkward-as-hell conversation. Pablo, he must have started, voice shaky, "We need to talk." It wasn't just tough, it was gut-wrenching. Samuel admitted he could barely string together sentences because the emotions were practically choking him. But Pablo, being the absolute champ he is, took it like a pro. Sure, he was stunned. Who wouldn't be? But instead of flipping tables, he told Samuel to relax, even reassuring him that he would have made the same call if the roles were reversed. That's sportsmanship at its finest, folks. Now, let's talk about why this move even happened. Ferrero isn't just pulling decisions out of his ass here. He's been in this game long enough to know that sometimes you need backup, especially when you're coaching a whirlwind like Carlos Alcaraz. The pressure, the travel, the endless responsibilities, it's enough to make anyone lose their mind. So, having someone like Samuel join the team isn't just a luxury, it's a goddamn necessity. It brings a fresh perspective, an extra set of eyes, and a calming voice when the shit inevitably hits the fan. And with Alcaraz growing not just as a player but as a person, making big boy decisions on and off the court, having a dream team of coaches is more critical than ever. Speaking of Alcaraz, let's zoom out a bit. While the Spaniard is taking the tennis world by storm, he's not the only one in the spotlight. Enter Jannik Sinner, the Italian wonder kid who's also smashing records and turning heads. Now, the big debate raging across the tennis world is this: who's the real king of the court? On one side, you've got fans drooling over Alcaraz's jaw-dropping magic on the court, while on the other, there's a crew hyping up Sinner's rock-solid consistency. Even Alexander Zverev, yes, that's Zverev, weighed in during a recent interview. Despite tipping his hat to Carlitos for his insane year, hello, Wimbledon and Roland Garros, Zverev ultimately sided with Sinner, calling him the rightful heir to the tennis throne. He's won 2 Grand Slams, 3 Masters, and the ATP Finals. He's the best in the world right now, Zverev said. Bold claim, huh? But don't think for a second that there's bad blood between Sinner and Alcaraz. Quite the opposite. Zverev also made a point to highlight the bond these two phenoms share. They've faced off in some nail-biting matches and even spent quality time hanging out off the court. Who knew tennis could also be about bromance? As the 2025 season looms, both Sinner and Alcaraz are gearing up for what promises to be an absolute roller coaster of a year. They're putting in the hours, sweating it out in training sessions, and sharpening their skills under the watchful eyes of their teams. The stakes couldn't be higher, with both of them hungry to dominate the big tournaments and maybe even settle this "who's better" debate once and for all. One thing's for sure, tennis fans are in for one hell of a ride. Buckle up, folks, because this showdown is just getting started. Kicking off the year down under, where kangaroos bounce and tennis dreams take flight, the Australian Open is set to be the stage for some epic racket-smashing action. And right in the thick of it, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, 2 of the most badass names in the game, who are grinding harder than ever in their preseason prep. These guys aren't just training, they're practically turning sweat into strategy. Carlos, the world #1, is out in Dubai. Why Dubai? Because apparently, when you're the king of tennis, you train in style. No warm-up tournaments for him. Oh no. This guy is going all in, focusing his energy on 2 exhibition matches at the Australian Open's arena, the same freaking place where he bagged his first Grand Slam title. Talk about setting the mood. On January 8th, He's scheduled to face Aussie hopeful Alexei Popyrin, and just a couple of days later, he'll take on another challenger whose name is still under wraps. It's like a sneak peek before the main blockbuster. Meanwhile, over in Villena, Spain, Jannik Sinner is sweating it out under the hawk-eyed supervision of his coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero. Sinner, who's gunning to leave a serious mark on Melbourne, is putting in the hours to fine-tune his game for the Aussie Open. This isn't just any tournament for him. It's the one. The big kahuna. The only Grand Slam missing from his collection. You bet your ass he's hungry for it. Alcaraz, on the other hand, is shaking things up this year. No official tournaments before the Open? That's right. Instead, he's focused on adapting to Australia's unique conditions. The sweltering heat, the slower courts, and, let's be real, the occasional killer spider lurking in the shadows. His strategy? Arrive early, get his groove on in 2 exhibition matches, and hit the ground running. January 8th, he'll go head-to-head with Alex de Minaur, Australia's golden boy with a serve almost as fast as his footwork. 2 days later, it's Alexei Popyrin's turn to try and rattle the champ. These matches aren't just for show, they're a pressure test, a tune-up for the high-stakes showdown in Melbourne. Alcaraz's goal is crystal clear: conquer the only Grand Slam that's eluded him so far. It's not just about adding another shiny trophy to his collection. It's about staking his claim as a living legend. With 4 majors already under his belt, this is his chance to cement his dominance. And let's be honest, when Carlos steps onto the court, it's not just a match, it's a goddamn spectacle. Now, if you're loving this juicy breakdown of tennis drama, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Here at Tennis Extra, we're all about delivering the hottest, most detailed content for true tennis enthusiasts like you. From in-depth analysis and exclusive interviews to blow-by-blow coverage of every major tournament, we've got it all. Join our community, soak in the excitement, and geek out with us over the incredible world of tennis. Because let's face it, who wouldn't want to be part of this ride? Stick around. We promise it's going to be a hell of a season.